Nina Turner made an appearance on Rising on The Hill. It's The Hill TV, and this is we have talked about Nina Turner yesterday. Actually, we're going to be releasing the clip on that, but if you watch our full episode from yesterday, you'll see that we discussed this, and actually it feels like Nina Turner might have been listening to our conversation, because this feels like a direct response to a lot of what we were saying. And so, you know what, I'm going to play the clip, and that way we can hear what she has to say. First, just to set this up, I'm not going to play the part where they talk about the actual, or initial reason why they had her on the show, which was that she had recently announced that her campaign had raised for $1.5 million. So that is, it's a significant haul, and it's certainly significant, especially when you're talking about grassroots funding. So that is a large chunk of money. It shows that people are still progressives are still invested in electoral politics. So it makes it an important story, a story that is important to cover. We're not going to be focused on how much money she raised, but rather on some of her comments regarding the progressive strategy in the House right now, and what where she's willing to push with her strategy. So let's take a listen here, and then we will come back and discuss.
Here's the thing that blows my mind, Nina, is Manchin is willing to go so hard, willing to blow up this whole thing in order to give more to corporations and do something that also, by the way, just in the politics of really unpopular, right? I mean, keeping the corporate tax rate low is not a popular policy. He's willing to go to the mat for that. Why isn't there a comparative level of hardball politics on the left? Why is it always the right-wing Democrats who were willing to throw all the way in to get the terrible things and neuter the bill and get the things that they ultimately want for the donor class?
Yeah, we got to get there, Crystal. I mean, I believe the progressives are willing. We just got to get there. We got to throw caution to the wind and just stand up. You're absolutely right. People like Senator Joe Manchin are ready to do whatever it takes to get their way. He's doing it now. He did it with the COVID relief bill, and he does it time and time again. And so we have to go just as hard on behalf of the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class in this country as they are for the donor class in this country. And this stuff is unseemly. It's untenable. It is immoral. The second version of the Gilded Age in the United States of America in the midst of so much suffering, it absolutely breaks my heart. And so we got to go in hard. And we also have to get out among the American people, Crystal and Sagar, and even if it's virtually, and call these people out, call them out by name, and let the American people know who's standing in the way of changing their material conditions. We cannot endure in this fashion where the ultra wealthy of this nation continue to get their way and everybody else suffers by extension. It's untenable, immoral, and unacceptable.
So that was Nina Turner, and she is, of course, running for Congress in Ohio. I think it's the 11th district. It's Cleveland, covers much of Cleveland, and she is running to take the seat vacated by Marcia Fudge when she took Joe Biden's, racially charged seat that he gave her in HUD, even though she pointed out the racist nature of that assignment. She did accept and has been nominated and confirmed now, so that seat is open. Dates have been scheduled in this primary, and now the real question becomes, for a lot of progressive mind, on a lot of leftist mind, really at this stage, is, what is the value in electoral politics? What can, we've heard a lot of really strong rhetoric from progressive politicians when they're on the outside looking in, but it appears that once these, some of our strongest left politicians, folks that were willing to adopt the Democratic Socialist label, folks like AOC that said that they were willing to be one-term Congress people in order to, be a thorn in the side of the establishment. But now we see them working alongside, Nancy Pelosi, going along to get along, running propaganda for the Democratic Party for their not pushing them anywhere to the left, ceding ground to corporate Democrats, Joe Manchin constantly. So I thought that what Nina Turner said here, she's saying all the right things. And I would even argue that this is this rhetoric is stronger than the rhetoric that we saw out of, say, AOC, but strong rhetoric doesn't to me necessarily translate to action. And it's really about having a strategy and knowing that you are going to be you have to see the Democratic Party as not your ally. They are not your friends, and they are there, and they are built to destroy the left movements. And we can't, if we try to play their game, we're going to lose every time trying to play their game. Now, what Nina talked about here, she said, calling them out by name. That's the kind of stuff that we haven't seen AOC and others as willing to do. But I just don't know that alone to me says that's enough of the strategy. The strategy for her has to be not just that she's going to do it, but that she's actually going to be able to whip together a caucus of leftist, socialist Congress people that are willing to throw caution to the wind, like she said, and risk whatever has to be risked there to say, I'm willing to block this bill. I'm willing to delay to block this bill if you don't give us the concessions that we know are popular amongst the American people. Because Joe Manchin's out here doing the same thing already. Look at the infrastructure bill. Look what he did with the COVID relief bill. He's doing it for the stuff that nobody is in favor of, and that's unpopular. And he's willing to go, throw caution to the wind for unpopular policy. We definitely need some progressives and leftists that are also willing to throw caution to the wind if we're going to compete and challenge the establishment in any serious way in electoral politics, in especially these national electoral politics. So that I thought, what are your thoughts on it, Quan?
Yeah, I really liked what she had to say, but like right now, like you said, like talk isn't enough. Like you have to show up and show out, or you have to get up and get out. That's where we're at right now. Like there's no more like, and it's, and me and you have had this discussion offline for a while about how everyone seems to be co-opting other types of language, so I'm at this point where I'm just not wondering if like this is people just like hearing these talking points, seeing that they're popular, and just saying things like Medicare for all and $15 minimum wage, and then like just completely not really caring about it that deeply, not being willing to fight for it, because it's just not enough anymore. And I wish I could enjoy this. I want to get excited about this. Yeah. Like I like Nina Turner. She's not said anything that I haven't like too grossly disliked. Like I've been like she's brought the heat a couple times. So I like Nina Turner. I wish I could be excited about this, but like this is what we were talking about when I said and we were saying last night about AOC and the squad, so to speak, and how like, man, if when you go in these places and you make these promises and you don't follow through, when you say you're going to do these things, people get jaded. They stop trusting you. And like, this is someone I would love to trust, but I have to be wary right now. And they have no one to blame but themselves, honestly, for any people that are skeptical or like this isn't going to get the enthusiasm that it could have had if that bullshit didn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. There's no doubt about it that, there would be much more, fervor behind this movement, this campaign, if it wasn't for the failures of the current, Justice Democrats and so-called progressives in Congress, and the utter failure of the what they've been doing, as particularly under Biden. And so I don't blame any, I think that it is the reasonable position to look at this skeptically. I think it's reasonable for me. My position that I take on this is that I wish her the best, and I hope that she will prove me wrong, and that she will go in there and shake things up and really be able to move her colleagues over and into the left, and to be able to push AOC and Ilhan Omar and and really the socialists that are in Congress. I don't think Ilhan Omar identifies as a socialist, but I believe there's 5 folks in Congress that do identify as democratic socialists at least, and beyond, but the Justice Democrats and the so-called squad, they should be able to, and she's going to need to not just because it's not going to be enough to have one congressperson in there doing the right thing. I mean, if she goes in there and she does it and she does the work and she never capitulates and she continues to fight aggressively and is willing to buck the Democratic Party establishment, then I will be able to say, okay, well, we got to find, 5 to 10 more Nina Turners and people that are going that strong and Shama Sawant type folks to go in there and to actually, hold on to progressive values and not just progressive. Let's not kid ourselves about progressive values, but really socialist values and an understanding that the Democratic Party, that they're not your friend, and to have a strategy of understanding that we have a unique situation where there's such a narrow margin in the House between Republicans and Democrats, and we absolutely have leverage and have power that we wouldn't typically have for such a small block of legislators in Congress. But all you need is about 5 legislators to say in the House to say that they're going to hold up a piece of legislation for that legislation to be unable to pass in these must pass bills. That's where you have all must pass bills where no Republicans are going to vote for the bill. That's where you have all the leverage as a progressive. It's because you're not going to find a way for them to get enough Republicans to make the bill conservative enough for any Republican to vote for it. So the only way for them to get enough votes to actually get the legislation passed is to move in the direction of the progressives, because no matter how much they move in the direction of the Republicans, they will not vote for it. So they have to move in our direction. So we have to use that leverage now. And what she says here sounds like the right stuff. She's not saying what I want to hear, though. When I need to hear her say she intends to, she needs to be calling out her colleagues as well and saying they aren't doing enough. AOC is not doing enough. Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, what they are doing, it's not enough. And I understand, you need to go. No, it's not. I don't accept that you got to go in there and play nice with anyone at this stage. If you are not the person standing on the outside of all, because you have to view AOC at this stage as just another part of the Democratic Party establishment, because all of her rhetoric recently has been essentially upholding the Democratic Party establishment. So you have to view her even as somebody that is not totally aligned with you, that's not 100% on your side, and somebody that you're going to have to push as well and be willing to call out when they are not doing what they went to Congress to do. So that means calling out these folks, the squad and these other folks as well, not just Joe Manchin, because we need people willing to go in there and say, no, the strategy is that we need to get together and we need to do exactly what Nina Turner said here, which is to throw caution to the wind and be willing to do exactly what Joe Manchin is doing, which is to say, I will not vote for this bill unless you give me these concessions. Joe Manchin is doing it for worse things that are unpopular, a lower corporate tax rate, when a higher corporate tax rate is wildly popular right now. So there's no reason why progressives shouldn't be able to say, no, you know what? We're not going to accept 28%. It was 35% before Trump. Let's at least get it to 35. But if you really wanted it 35, start talking about 40. All right. Start talking about 40% corporate tax rate. And for the, the largest corporations and stuff, 40% tax rate, because Joe Biden himself just tweeted out recently, how many, 50 of the companies in the Fortune 500 haven't paid a single dollar in taxes in the past 3 years. But they're not willing to raise the corporate tax rate to at least what it was under Obama. But so it's not enough already. Joe Manchin wants it even lower than what they're willing to raise it to, and they're not even raising it back to Obama level. We need people pushing to say, no, it should be higher than what it was under Obama. It should be even higher. And on top of that, we should be raising the top marginal tax rate on the wealthiest people in this country. The wealthiest people in this country should be getting taxed like they were getting taxed under FDR and under Dwight Eisenhower, Republican Dwight Eisenhower, 94% top marginal tax rate, instead of the weak, paltry, like 30 some odd percent that it is right now. It's a third of what it was when we were, in the sort of golden years, according to all these people that fetishize the 50s and they don't recognize what our tax rate was back then. So yeah, great words, nice rhetoric from Nina Turner, but does it translate to actual, change and progress? Personally, I don't have that. I'm skeptical. I'm hopeful, but skeptical. And I can't encourage people to donate their money or the time to this the way that I used to, because like Kwame said earlier, what AOC and the squad and the Justice Democrats have done is to really make people very cynical about the progressive movement because of their lack of, their ineffectiveness and their lack of strategy and ability to actually win on the issues they claim to care about. $15 minimum wage, Medicare for all, a Green New Deal. Like, we are getting nothing close to that. And we were told by these people that these are existential, circumstances, that we are facing existential crises, and these are crucial to human survival, and that we're not seeing a sense of urgency out of them. So I'm rooting for Nina Turner in the back of my mind, as I said last night, but I can't sit out here and funnel people's time and attention into these matters where I just don't know that there's really going to be anything that comes to fruition from this, national electoral strategy, to be honest.